All right, so get this. Today we're going to really dive deep into intermittent fasting.
Oh, cool.
But not the stuff everybody already knows,
Yeah.
We're talking how and why it actually works.
Yeah.
Especially, for our listeners who are already, pretty into this stuff.
Right.
And we've got a great guide for this, a book called Intermittent Fasting Simplified.
Oh, nice. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's got all the science, but it also gets into the actual, how-to of making it a part of your life.
Right, right. Because the science can be kind of dense sometimes.
Totally.
You know what I really appreciate about this book? It doesn't just throw all this jargon at you.
Yeah, it's actually really clear.
It is, and it almost anticipates the questions you'd have if you were actually thinking about trying this out.
Exactly. If you've ever wondered, what's actually happening in your body when you're fasting?
Right.
Or if you're like me and kind of fascinated by the idea that it can do way more than just help you lose weight.
Oh, for sure. There's so much more to it than that.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, Mike.
So the book's core idea is that intermittent fasting isn't about what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's about when you eat.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Right. That's a pretty different way of thinking about it than your typical diets,
It is, yeah. It's more about setting up a pattern with your eating.
Okay.
So you're cycling between times when you're eating and then times when you're, voluntarily fasting.
Got it.
And something I thought was interesting is that the book makes it clear that this isn't some brand new fad diet.
Oh, really?
This way of eating has been around for forever.
Wow.
But it's getting a lot of attention now.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially with all the research coming out about how good it can be for you.
Okay. So it's not just about fitting into your swimsuit for the summer.
Nope.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
But honestly, the part that I really geek out on is the science.
The science is pretty cool.
The book goes deep into how intermittent fasting affects your hormones and even your brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing, honestly.
It is. So let's talk about what actually happens when you fast.
Okay.
So your insulin levels, they go down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important because it lets your body switch gears and start using fat for energy way more efficiently.
Interesting.
The book uses this term lipolysis.
Lipolysis.
Yeah, it basically means your body's breaking down all that stored fat
Right.
and using it as fuel.
I see.
And then at the same time, your growth hormone levels actually increase.
Really?
Which is great, especially if you're trying to keep your muscles.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying I can burn fat and keep my muscles?
Exactly.
That sounds like the ultimate goal.
It is. It's especially good as you get older and want to stay in shape.
Oh, absolutely.
It gets even more interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
IF can actually shift your whole metabolism.
Yeah.
So you know how people talk about ketosis?
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what happens when your body starts relying mainly on fat for fuel.
Okay.
And some studies even show that this can boost your brain power.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Brain power boost.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've really got my attention.
Right.
So tell me more about what's happening in the brain when we're fasting.
Okay, so think of it this way.
All right.
Your body has this built-in system for cleaning up.
Right.
Getting rid of all the damaged cells and proteins that build up over time.
Okay.
It's called autophagy.
Autophagy.
And guess what?
Right.
Fasting kicks this system into overdrive.
Interesting.
So the book suggests that this is one reason IF is linked to living longer.
Longevity.
Something I know you're into.
Definitely. Okay, so autophagy, got it.
Yeah.
So my body's basically doing some deep cleaning, using fat for fuel.
Exactly.
What else is going on up there in the brain?
Well, IF also increases a protein called BDNF.
BDNF.
Yeah. And this is a big deal because it's like fertilizer for your brain cells. Oh, wow.
It helps them grow and repair.
Uh-huh.
What's fascinating is the book connects this to that feeling of being mentally sharper, more focused that a lot of people get when they're fasting.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that. Sharper thinking, more energy. It's making more and more sense why people are turning to IF for more than just weight loss,
Absolutely. So yeah, weight loss is a common reason people try it.
Sure.
But the book's really clear that the benefits go way beyond that.
Okay. Like
we're talking improved heart health, things like lower blood pressure and cholesterol, enhanced brain function,
right.
even the possibility of living longer.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying there's a chance I could actually live longer because of intermittent fasting?
Well, the book goes into the science of how those cellular repair processes, the ones that get triggered by fasting,
Right.
might actually slow down aging.
Wow, that's pretty cutting edge stuff.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about what IPF is, what it does to our bodies, our brains.
But now I'm curious about like the actual doing it part.
Right.
How do you actually DO intermittent fasting?
Yeah. Good question.
Because I know there's not just one way to fast, right?
No, you're right. There are a bunch of different approaches, which is great
Oh, good.
because it means you can find one that really works for you.
Okay.
The book lays out a few of the more popular methods, each with their pros and cons.
Okay. Spill the beans. What are some of these methods?
Well, one of the most popular ones, probably the easiest to start with, is the 168 method.
Okay. 168.
It's basically fasting for 16 hours each day
Hmm.
and then having an 8-hour window where you eat.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does sound pretty manageable.
Yeah, you can usually fit it into most people's schedules pretty easily.
Right, right. What are some of the other methods the book talks about?
Yeah, so you're right, there are options. It's not like a one-size-fits-all thing.
Okay.
There's also the 5.2 diet.
5.2.
Yeah, so you eat normally for 5 days a week, and then you restrict your calories to like 500, 600 for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
But not like in a row.
Got it.
It's a little more challenging, but some people really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's alternate day fasting.
Alternate day.
Yeah, so you basically switch between fasting for a whole day
The whole day.
and then eating normally the next.
Whoa, that sounds intense.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
But the book is really good about saying, you know, the important thing is to find what works for you.
Right.
It encourages you to experiment, listen to your body, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because what works for one person won't necessarily work for another.
I love that it's all about personalization,
Yeah,
not some crazy set of rules.
exactly.
But I got to admit, the thought of intentionally not eating for, that long,
Yeah,
it still feels a little daunting, especially, for me. I like eating.
I get it. It can feel like a big change.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, we're not talking about starving yourself here.
Right.
The book really emphasizes starting slow. You know, you don't have to jump into a 24-hour fast right away.
Yeah.
It's about gradually increasing that fasting window,
Okay.
making it a sustainable part of your life, not like a crazy shock to your system.
Okay. That makes me feel a lot better. So gradual change, not deprivation.
Exactly.
So what would you say is like a good starting point for
Mm.
someone like me who's curious, but maybe a little apprehensive?
I think the 168 method is a really good place to start.
Okay.
I mean, you already said it sounded kind of manageable.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to work into your day.
Yeah. I could see myself skipping breakfast and then having my first meal like around noon.
Exactly.
That seems pretty doable.
And the book has a lot of helpful tips on
Oh.
how to make that work, especially
Mhm.
with, a busy schedule like yours.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is staying hydrated.
Right. Okay.
Drink plenty of water throughout the day,
Yeah.
especially during that fasting window.
Makes sense. Staying hydrated is always important. But especially, I imagine, when you're not eating.
Yes, definitely.
So what other tips from the book really stuck out to you?
Well, since you're already pretty health conscious,
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll appreciate what it says about choosing nutrient-rich foods
Okay.
during your eating window.
Right.
So focusing on like whole unprocessed foods,
Yeah.
fruits, vegetables, lean protein, healthy fats.
So it's not about starving yourself. It's about like nourishing your body.
Right. Giving it quality fuel during those eating hours.
Exactly.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Okay.
The book encourages flexibility.
Good.
If you have a social event, a special occasion, it's okay to adjust.
Sure.
It's about finding a rhythm that works for you and your life.
Right. Not the other way around.
Exactly.
Okay. That's reassuring.
Good.
Flexibility is key.
Mm.
But I'm curious, what about like when those hunger pangs hit?
Yeah.
Are there any strategies for dealing with those?
Oh, absolutely.
Especially during the longer fasting times.
So staying hydrated is a big one, like we talked about.
Right.
But the book also suggests trying things like herbal teas
Okay.
or black coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Those can help curb your appetite without technically breaking your fast.
Oh, yeah. Those are my go-tos, too.
Nice.
I love a good cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
But what about social situations?
Yeah.
I imagine those could be a little tricky.
They can be, especially when everyone around you is eating.
Right.
The book's advice is to just be upfront about it.
Okay.
Let people know what you're doing.
Right,
Your
yeah.
friends, family.
I can see that. Being open about it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, way better than trying to, hide it or make excuses.
Exactly. Exactly.
Most people are pretty understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And explaining your reasons for trying IF can actually lead to some cool conversations
Ah,
about health and wellness.
yeah, I could see that happening,
Yeah.
turning it into a positive thing
Exactly.
instead of feeling like I'm constantly explaining myself.
Right. Okay, so let's say I'm at a social gathering and everyone's like enjoying this amazing meal.
Right.
What are some ways to, navigate that gracefully
Yeah.
while still sticking to my fasting window?
So if you're within your eating window,
Mm-hmm.
the book suggests focusing on protein and fiber-rich options.
Okay.
Those will keep you feeling full
Right.
and can help prevent overeating
That's a good point.
or feeling tempted to snack later.
So yeah, making smart choices within that eating window
That
can
makes
make
a
a big
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
But what if I'm outside of my eating window?
Okay, so in those cases,
Yeah.
the book recommends sticking to zero-calorie drinks,
Okay.
like water or unsweetened tea.
Mm-hmm.
It even suggests having, like, a go-to phrase ready.
Oh, like what?
Like, I'm good for now, but I'll catch up with you later. Something like that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Having a little pre-planned response
exactly.
can definitely help in those moments
It can.
when you might feel a little self-conscious.
But what about those times when, the pressure's really on?
Yeah.
Like a family dinner where everyone's expecting you to eat?
Yeah, in those situations,
Yeah.
it's all about setting boundaries,
Okay.
feeling confident in your choices.
Right. Right.
Remember this is about your health and well-being.
Do that.
So if someone's being like really persistent,
Mm-hmm.
you can always gently remind them
Yeah.
that you're doing this for your health
Right.
and that you appreciate their support.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah,
Sometimes you need to be your own advocate
you do.
and not be afraid to set those boundaries.
Exactly.
But speaking of challenges,
Yeah.
what about dealing with, like, skepticism from other people,
Mm-hmm.
especially those who maybe, like, don't get it
Right.
or don't agree with the whole concept of IF?
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
The book's advice is to really educate yourself,
Okay.
on the science.
Right.
The more you understand it, the better you'll be able to answer questions or address any concerns they have.
That makes sense. Knowledge is power.
Exactly.
And if someone's, like, really resistant, it's okay to agree to disagree.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
have to convince everyone.
Right. It's my journey.
Exactly. It's your journey, not theirs.
Exactly.
And remember, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, that's true.
You start to see and feel the benefits of your results will speak for themselves.
They do. They do. But speaking of results, let's kind of shift gears
Okay.
and dive into those potential long-term benefits
Mhm.
of
Okay.
IF.
Okay.
We touched on things like heart health and brain function.
Yeah.
I'm curious to explore those in a little more detail.
Right.
What does the book have to say about IF's impact on, like, our overall health and longevity?
It's interesting, IF isn't just about like the short-term stuff, like
Yeah.
losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to have like this bigger effect
Oh,
on our whole health, impacting like everything.
right. From our cells to our brains, that whole mind-body connection.
It's exactly
Okay, I'm ready. Let's talk heart health first.
right.
So the book mentions some good stuff about blood pressure and cholesterol.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Absolutely. So one of the key things here is how IF affects your insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
When you fast, your body gets better at using insulin,
Mm-hmm.
which is the hormone that, controls your blood sugar.
Right.
And this improved insulin sensitivity is linked to lower blood pressure
Okay.
and healthier cholesterol levels, which are both super important for a healthy heart.
So it's like IF is giving our heart a tune-up,
Yeah, I like that analogy.
helping it run smoother.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the brain?
All right.
We talked about BDNF earlier, that brain-boosting protein.
Right. And what's exciting is BDNF isn't just about feeling sharp in the moment.
Right.
It might actually protect our brains as we age
Okay.
and maybe even lower the risk of those neurodegenerative diseases.
Like Alzheimer's.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa, that's definitely something to think about. So by doing IF, we're maybe like investing in our long-term brain health.
That's what the research is suggesting.
Wow, and it's not just BDNF, right?
Right.
We talked about autophagy too.
Yes, that cellular cleanup.
Right. That's important for our brains too, isn't it?
It seems to be.
Because it gets rid of those damaged cells and toxic proteins.
That can build up over time.
Yeah, so like a brain spring cleaning.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
But longevity.
Okay.
The book mentioned IF could help us live longer.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like science to back that up?
There is more research is always happening.
Sure.
But some studies on animals have shown that calorie restriction,
Right, which is a big part of IF.
exactly, can actually make them live longer.
Wow.
And while we don't know for sure how that translates to humans,
Right.
there's more and more evidence that IF might activate similar pathways in our cells.
So like hitting the pause button on aging.
Yeah, giving our bodies more time to repair and renew.
Incredible. So IF isn't just a quick fix. It could be a long-term thing.
Yeah. For a healthier, longer life.
Exactly. But is it safe for everyone?
That's a great question, and the book does talk about that.
Okay, good.
So, IF is generally safe for most healthy adults, but there are some exceptions.
Okay, like what?
Like people with certain medical conditions,
Okay.
like diabetes or eating disorders,
Right.
they should talk to their doctor before trying it.
Of course. Always better to be safe.
Definitely.
And pregnant or breastfeeding women.
Yeah, they should avoid IF too.
Makes sense. Their nutritional needs are different.
Exactly.
So for those who are healthy and want to explore IF,
Mm-hmm.
what's one key takeaway you want them to remember?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that IF isn't just a trend.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way to live that can really affect our health and well-being.
In so many ways?
Yeah, from our hearts and brains to potentially how long we live.
That's powerful stuff. And Intermittent Fasting Simplified has really given us so much to think about.
It has. It explains the science behind IF
Mm-hmm.
and how to make it work in your life.
Exactly. And I love that it empowers each person to decide if SHUMAF is right for them.
It does, and define the approach that works for their needs and goals.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into intermittent fasting, think about which IF method sounds good to you.
Right.
And what's one small step you can take today to explore it further? Maybe it's just changing your breakfast time.
Yeah.
Or swapping that sugary snack for some herbal tea.
Exactly.
Remember, every journey starts with a single step. And until next time, keep seeking knowledge and keep diving deep